Hey everyone. I'm going to try to do this as nicely and honest as I can. There has been a lot of things that have happened since the last time I was on here, and I have opinions on a lot of things. Now, I want to clarify this by saying I'm on here just babbling. I'm on here speaking my opinions on things, and my opinions mean nothing. Like, I'm always shocked that people listen to my rants and then are like, I actually got something from that because I feel like I'm just up here rambling about things that are going through my mind. I never expect anyone to change their opinions, to change who they follow, to change their way of thinking to fit mine. Like, I never expect that ever. I'm seriously a nobody just up here rambling out my thoughts on things. So I do not think I'm better than anyone. I definitely am not perfect. I am not above anyone in this community. I am just another nameless face among the crowd. Seriously, I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. I am putting out my videos. I try to put out facts and things that I can put out receipts for. And then these audio posts are just my opinions being poured out. For the people that want to say that I think that I am better than someone or that I know better or that I am a better person, have more morals. No, I don't. Absolutely, I don't. I'm just like everyone else. So, number one, I'm going to speak my mind, even if it makes me look bad or it upsets people or I lose subscribers. This is what I've done all along, and I'm not going to stop now just because these topics are touchy, and I am going to speak about some negative aspects of the creators. And I know how defensive we are of the creators that we like. I'm not telling anyone what to think, who to follow, express my views on the drama in the community. And I already know, based on my community post, that it's going to ruffle some feathers because I saw people saying that my last community post was odd or seemed off or whatever. And it's because I'm not holding back. And a lot of stuff that has happened and to get out what I am thinking. And I'm going to apologize now because look, I think part of the problem in this community is that as subscribers, we sometimes care more about situations affecting the creators than the creators themselves care about it. Did that make any sense? I hope it did. Like, if something happens to one of the creators we really like, and it's something that is really offensive to us, but to them, it is not really that offensive. And they could normally just let it roll off their back and not think anything of it. But the subscribers are so worked up about it in the chat that the creator reacts to it more emotionally or more than they normally would because their chat is all worked up about it. And I think that we are very defensive of our favorite creators, and it may cause problems sometimes. So this came up recently too, and I'm just going to say I give everyone permission to use any of my content. Reposting my community post, playing my audio post, playing my videos, my shorts. I don't care who plays it. You don't have to ever ask me for permission. Just play it. If I'm making this stuff, I'm making it to get out to people. I'm not monetized, so I don't care about the number of views or anything like that. And my comment about the people that had me blocked was just kind of like, I don't understand, but I guess once I thought about it a little bit, I can kind of understand. 'Cause I do know that there's creators that don't want people coming announcing other lives. I get that. But what I was doing is simply a few creators, if they were talking about a subject and I finish a video while they're live, I will sometimes, or if I've just done one, that day, I would go into their chat and say, hey, I just released a video if you want to play it. And I'm not like being forceful about it. I'm not trying to direct people away from their stream. I'm saying my video is going to help reinforce what you're saying. So I think that's probably why I got blocked because I appear to be promoting people to leave their live stream to come watch it. And that's not what I was doing. So I apologize if people took it that way and blocked me for that. It is what it is. I would never do that. I would never try to pull attention away from the creators because I'm not a creator. Like, I'm just over here making opinionated posts. So I apologize. It did hurt me. I was offended at being blocked by a couple of these people. But once I really thought about it in the situation, I was like, well, I guess that was the reason for it and whatever. But I don't care if I just released a video. It's been out for 2 minutes. Play it. You don't need my permission. Anytime, anybody. I'm doing this for awareness and to hopefully make people think about things in a different way or from a different perspective, okay? Okay. I was going to start this with a few things about the way BJ was covering Sebastian's case that really bothered me. But now that I have seen Jones's video, I'm going to address that first and get it out of the way because it is probably one of the most egregious things that I've ever listened to in my life. And I seriously cannot believe that we are sitting here in 2026 and I am listening to someone openly victim blame, victim shame, and there is an audience agreeing with it. Like, what is happening? I don't get it. Okay. I don't maybe I shouldn't have started with this because look, y'all know this is my hot button. This is my topic that gets me, okay? So many people that come into my comment section after any kind of discussion about childhood essay. Amount of people in this community that have experienced this, and it ranges from people that had parents like Clue who did the right thing, and kids that felt comfortable enough to tell their parent about it. People that told their parent about it and the parent did nothing or told them to keep quiet about it. Kids that never felt comfortable enough to tell anybody. People that are on here telling their stories for the first time because they're anonymous on here. People that have not healed. People that thought they were healed until they hear someone blaming them. I don't understand the amount of guilt and shame that comes with being a victim of this. And look, yes, there's so many words you can use. Victim, survivor, warrior. It kind of depends, in my opinion, it depends on where you're at in your healing process. And there are people in this community who are still victims because they have never been able to tell anyone. They have never been through therapy. They have never had support for what they went through. And we, as we having platforms to speak on, have to realize that you're not just addressing the creator that you can't stand. You are addressing every childhood SA victim or every parent who has had a child that was SA'd. You are affecting all of them because we stand as one. Those of us who have been through this trauma bond. We all know that feeling. We all know what it's like. We can connect. So when one of us is hurt, it hurts all of us. None of us are going to stand by and watch another person be victim shamed, victim blamed, or see a parent get shamed. Because look, Clue is the kind of parent every child needs when that happens. Somebody that they feel comfortable enough to go to and tell, and someone that reacted immediately and did the right thing for the child. That's what all of us needed, and definitely not all of us got that. So when you're up there telling people who's to blame, that's fucked up. I'm sorry. It was horrible. I mean, you are literally sitting there telling people they are at fault for the abuse that their child went through. And I saw this, people think that I made this video about the childhood essay specifically for Clue. And it wasn't that. Yes, it was for Clue and baby Clue, but it was to show how this, quote, true crime community is weaponizing childhood essay against people. And look, I could have used Katie Proudfoot as an example because it was used against her because her son is missing. When did we start doing that? We cannot normalize the weaponization of someone's trauma. We are supposed to care about the victims and their families. And that includes creators who are victims or have family members that are victims. We cannot let this be okay because it's not. You cannot base someone's character off of a trauma they went through as a child. It does not have the same effect on every person. Every person's story is different. It is their story. And we cannot start using this as a weapon to hurt people with. I started thinking, how did we even get here? Actually, it came up first with Clue. And I think about Clue and I'm like, how did she get pulled into this? Like, she was just someone who happened to live in the same area where Sebastian went missing. And she's interested in true crime. We saw that. She did the Idaho 4. It's not like she jumped into this out of never covering true crime or whatever. This happened to be where she lived. So she wanted to help and look into it. It just happens that she is so fucking unlucky to have an ex with the same rare last name as someone in Chris's family. So I don't even know how it got here. I don't understand that. I don't want to understand it. I know that BJ was the first person to talk about it publicly, even though she blames it on Granny and Jay. She talked about it the day before they did on her live stream. So I don't even know how it got here, but it did. And it got here and got cleared up that they weren't related. And then it died down. And for some reason, weaponization, it got brought back up 6 months later. And it got brought back up in a horrible way. So this got thrust upon Clue just because she wanted to cover and help with a missing child case in her area. And, it died down after they figured out there was no relation. And then what an amazing weapon you found, BJ, to use against someone who was critiquing and criticizing you by reviewing your public live streams. You decide that it's appropriate to take something so horrible and use it to hurt her with. And BJ can put this off on Kim and Craft and all she wants. She participated. She platformed them. She agreed. She said her own things. This was not all Kim and Crafton at all. She spread that disgusting channel and the link and some of their content. That is how I found that channel and all of the disgusting doxes and accusations. I mean, I don't think people know there were things on there blaming Clue for blaming her for other things that have happened in her family. It was horrible. And you know who was there? Joneson, wanting more information about Clue supporting someone who was inappropriate with her daughter. Wanting more information. Why? Like, I feel like Joneson has been looking for something to be mad at Clue about for a long time. And she knows that this is something major. And this is something that bothers the community. So I feel like she's been waiting to pull this out at some point because she was asking months ago, give me more information about her supporting her ex after what happened. And so then she comes out with this whole blaming Clue, saying that she has responsibility. You do understand that pedophiles do not walk around with red flashing lights and pull them up on your phone and it announces to you what they are. How do you know? They make themselves very appealing to people. They are usually the people you would never think would do it. They can be charming. I mean, they can be teachers, doctors, principals, anybody. You cannot recognize a pedophile from another person. There is no distinguishing factor. They don't have criminal records, a lot of them, because there has to be a first offense at some time. So no, there isn't any clues that you get from it. You don't. Until it happens. That's the point that you know when it happens. To hear Joneson imply that there should have been some type of hint for Clue to know that was going to happen is ridiculous. You do not know. And you cannot, helicopter parenting your kid is not the answer. That is not good for them either. They have to grow and be their own person and make their own choices and their own mistakes. And you teach them as well as you can, but things are going to happen that you have no control over. And there's a big difference between feeling guilty and bearing responsibility. Because I think Joneson was really confusing those. I hope she was. Otherwise, she's just disgusting. But she kept saying, if something happened to my child, I would feel responsible. Yes. If something happens, every parent is going to feel some level of guilt within themselves because you feel like you should always protect your child from everything, but it's just not possible. So yeah, you're going to feel your own guilt, but in no way does that make you responsible for what happened. Now, it's different if your kid comes to you and tells you about it and then you don't remove them from that situation. Yes, responsible. If you tell them and they tell you to keep quiet, yes, there's some responsibility. There are situations, but in Clue's, no. There was no way she could have known. And the one person that BJ never apologized to was Clue. She got on that panel for 6 hours and talked and, oh yeah, I should apologize and it was wrong. But she never apologized to the person it mattered. And that was Clue. That never happened. And so there was also, Joneson did some hinting at people bringing this out to the spotlight and making everyone more aware of it. And yeah, my video did bring awareness to it. And that was the whole point. I was trying to show that we're weaponizing trauma in a true crime community. And it's horrible. The things that were being said were horrible. And BJ wants to continue to say, I'm not talking about her daughter. I'm not talking about her daughter. Again, I've said this many times. The trauma is the person that did the assault. Every time you see that person, every time you hear that name, it hits you. Every time you see the face, it's like, I can't describe the feeling. I can't. I don't even like to say the name, of mine. It's just not something. So to have it blasted out on a public live stream is like the ultimate weaponization. It really is. And, all of this, nobody's asking you to cover this drama. Unless somebody's paying you to do it, and we know nothing about that, you don't have to be here covering any of this. BJ puts her parenting on Front Street every day for everybody to see. She public live streams her background. We hear everything. And you cannot put CPS calls and police calls on a whole community of people, thousands of people. You cannot blame every person for that. You cannot look at us and say, well, y'all are taking it too far. The cops, CPS, yeah, it is. But there may be one or two people that is doing that. The rest of us aren't and don't agree. You can't just blanket blame everybody for that. It's ridiculous. But as parents ourselves, and we're watching BJ, and it's almost like some of us who have been through things and maybe didn't have a protective parent are watching BJ just knowing that something is going to happen. And it terrifies us. In some way, we hope that we can help her see what she's doing wrong and change it. Realistically, is it going to happen? No. But I think that is some people's way of looking at the parenting issue there. And, there's not any comparison to what happened to Clue and baby Clue and what is going on at BJ's. And I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna make people mad because there's people that, "Oh, we shouldn't talk about kids, we shouldn't talk about parenting," but if y'all are gonna talk about what happened in Clue's life, I'm gonna say this: gaslighting your children is emotional, psychological abuse, in my opinion. When you are sitting there telling your child that they didn't see what they just saw, that they didn't hear what they just heard, is emotional, psychological abuse, in my opinion. I'm sorry. I was gaslit for years in an abusive marriage. I cannot imagine being a child gaslit by your parent. I can't imagine. And there were people in her chat talking about their own experiences and people in there saying that they have never told anyone about their own abuse. And you're sitting here listening to someone saying that you are somewhat to blame for what happened to you. You have literal victims in a chat listening to someone tell you that you, as a victim, are to blame. These are victims that never told anyone, never got out of their situation, never got therapy, and are now walking around as unhealed adults, spreading more victim shame and blame to others because they never learned that they weren't to blame. As a child to myself, it took me years of therapy and learning that I wasn't to blame because all of us feel shame when it happens. And depending on the situation, we can feel guilty, shame. There's so many things that we can feel. And to have someone on publicly and start telling people that they're to blame is, and in such vitriol. I mean, she spoke with such vitriol. I don't care what you think of Clue and Cletus. I don't care if you stand morally against everything Clue has ever said. These people are human. This was a human experience, a human trauma. You claim you're out here advocating for and have a passion for true crime, but you can't look past someone's personality traits and see that they are actually a victim and not to blame and not the perpetrator. There's no reason you should be blaming victims, no matter if you like them as a person or not. You also cannot see the damage you are causing to people listening. Do you understand how many survivors of childhood SA are in this community? Do you for 1 second stop to think about the damage you are causing to people listening? Whether it's anger, hurt, shame, guilt, we feel it, healed or not. We feel for those who aren't. And we know that there are people believing the words that are being said about it being their responsibility or their parents' responsibility. Because if you're not healed, you still feel that way. Can you ever, for 1 minute, stop your hate for someone that you don't even know and consider that Clue and Baby Clue aren't the only people who have experienced this, that there's an audience of people who know exactly how it feels. We aren't the only ones, and many of us did not have a parent that we felt safe enough to tell and that did something about it. So, but I had to address it because I was literally sick after listening. I mean, I literally had to calm down. It made me physically ill to hear her say those words. And I don't understand that level of hate. I just don't. I don't hate BJ. I dislike what she is doing strongly. Okay, so this was one of the main topics that I wanted to discuss, and this is going to be one of the most probably touchy topics of this video. Okay, it seems like sometimes as subscribers, we get so caught up in the drama and the emotions that we sometimes care about things that happen to our favorite creators more than they do. Sometimes something will happen to them that we deem outrageous and extremely disrespectful, and we become outraged because we have that parasocial thing. We feel kind of protective of them, and we get defensive when someone starts talking negative or saying that they made a mistake. It's just what happens. So we expect the creator to come live yelling and angry. We expect them to feel exactly how we feel. Or if another creator has gone live outraged by it, we expect every creator to be outraged by the same thing. And, it sucks because I enjoyed our community when we had this core group of creators who stood together, and we, as subscribers, we didn't feel like we couldn't go into a chat or we had to watch where we were going and when, and, there wasn't tension all the time. Right now, there is tension. Like, you can cut it with a knife, and I hate it. I hate it. I don't go into certain chats anymore because, like, we can tell as subscribers when we see it, we pick up on it, and it's uncomfortable, really uncomfortable. And I realized that the whole Jay situation was a big issue, and I get it. There's a lot of people that were hurt by Jay, a lot of people. And I think that that's some of the animosity going on because there's people that had different relationships with Jay, different levels of relationships, and everybody's going to feel how they feel about it because it's going to be based on how close they were to her and, all of that. You can't expect everyone to feel the same way immediately because everyone had different relationships. So, you know me and my analogies. So let me lay this kind of out in this crazy analogy, and it's going to sound crazy, but I hope the point gets across, okay? So let's say have 12 people jumping on a trampoline. I know this is random, but hear me out. 12 people on a trampoline. Everyone's having fun. There's 4 creators and 2 subs for each creator on the trampoline. Suddenly, there's a loud snap, and everybody ends up on the ground. We find creator A lying on the ground, and she's angry. She wants to get rid of the trampoline right now because it's dangerous. There's no use for it. People got hurt on it. Throw it out. Creator B also fell and saw one of the springs break. She is also ready to toss the trampoline because it can be dangerous and someone could possibly get hurt again. There's nothing good about it. It's not worth keeping because it's going to hurt somebody else, no question. Even if it got fixed, it's going to eventually happen again. So we need to get rid of it. Creator C was very concerned. He went up and checked on everyone else and right away made sure everyone was good and then tried to fix the trampoline. Looked at it closely, examined the parts, bought new parts, but couldn't actually fix what was wrong with it, but tried. Creator D checked on everyone, made sure they were okay, and talked to everyone about what was wrong with the trampoline and how it broke and how everybody fell. And Creator D is the owner of the trampoline and doesn't want to just throw it out immediately. She put time into this. She worked hard to get the money to buy it. She put it together. It was a lot of work and it took a while to build it. So she loved this trampoline and she had good memories of this trampoline because she had worked hard to get it, bought it, and it was her own. She tried to make sure the trampoline was for sure the problem. So she finds out that it definitely was the trampoline. That's the problem. She was hurt and disappointed because she put so much time and effort into it. And in a few seconds, that trampoline that had brought her so many good times broke unexpectedly and hurt her friends and her. She had to accept what happened and she'll throw it away, but she needed a little time to process what happened. Examine every part of that trampoline to see if it's possible to be fixed because it brought her good memories and it was hers. She spent time on it and with it, and it was hard to just throw that away. And she can't believe that it broke. It had been so dependable. So a week later, the friends are all hanging out together, and Creator A looks out the window and yells, "I can't believe you still have that dangerous thing still sitting in your backyard. You should have trashed it within minutes of it breaking." Creator B agrees that she should have already tossed it out, but also knows it's hard to just toss something valuable to you. And sometimes you have to get hurt multiple times before you finally toss it. Creator C was willing to spend more time with Creator D trying to fix it or replace a broken spring. She owned a trampoline too and knew the time and effort and cost put into it and the benefit it brought. Creator D is torn. She knows the trampoline can be dangerous now and hurt her or anyone else if she gets back on. But when she was alone and feeling down, she could go out and use the trampoline and it gave her a distraction and fun times. It meant something to her. It wasn't just a piece of metal and knit. And every time she looks outside, she's reminded of those memories she had and the time she put into it. And so my thing with this is the whole situation was like, we know what Jay did was horrible. It was so wrong. But we cannot expect everybody to process what happened at the same rate. We can't expect everybody to have the same amount of anger, the same feelings about it. We just can't expect that. You have to let people process things their own way, and we can't get mad at what they're doing. We don't know how close friendships were. We don't know the level of betrayal. I see creators getting mad at other creators because they feel like they should all be at the same spot in processing what happened. And that's just not realistic because we don't all process things the same normally. We can all have the exact same experience and everybody will process it differently. But in this case, you have different relationships with Jade. People were in different levels of relationship with her. So it is going to take different time and different ways to process what happened. I don't know if that makes sense, but there's animosity started somewhere. I'm trying to pinpoint where it was. And this is the first place that I really started feeling tension whenever Granny was not immediately calling out Jay and, tearing her down. And I understand that Granny had a closer relationship with Jay. We have to allow people to be who they are and not get angry at them for it because that just creates a resentment. But there are subs that were genuinely hurt by her too, and I see them processing it. And it doesn't have to be a universal feeling. It doesn't change the emotion that she already had and the connection and how that's harder to let go of for her, if that makes any sense. There's just this tension underlying all the time. I hate it. I don't go in certain chats anymore because it's so uncomfortable to pick up on those vibes and feel like you're walking on eggshells for what you can say in the chat. When you can feel creators trying to walk on eggshells around each other, it's so uncomfortable. And I absolutely hate it. Like it's ruined YouTube more for me than almost anything. I mean, at this point, honestly. The whole falling out with Jay was a big thing because there was a lot of ships going on and it was this we were all just taken by surprise that it happened. And I'm also not assigning blame. I'm saying this about all creators. There are multiple chats that I'm not comfortable going in anymore. I think sometimes they don't realize how connected some of us get, because some of us are socially isolated, and this is our entertainment, but our social interaction too. So we do get a parasocial attachment to them, and we feel defensive of the creators that we have bonded with. So if we hear anybody say anything negative about our favorite creator, we take it so personally and get so defensive about it, when it doesn't have to be that way. We don't have to take everything so seriously. And if the creator isn't upset about it, we shouldn't be. Like, I feel like we carry a lot of emotional weight for the creators that we have connected with. And I think that it's healthy sometimes to step back and think about whatever the situation is at the current time and why everyone may be feeling the way they're feeling, and try to look at it objectively instead of automatically taking the viewpoint of your favorite creator. And I know that it sounds crazy to say that we are connected to one creator and we defend them, but it's honestly what happened. And then you have some subscribers who are purposely going chat to chat, telling lies or putting out things that are touchy topics, and they know they're touchy topics, and they love the chaos, and they're doing it to purposely divide. And you can usually point these people out and see what they're doing and ignore it. But there are some that are insidious. There are some that are close to the creators that decide they don't like a fellow creator, and they can influence the creator on how they feel. It's crazy, and we get so attached and into it that we feel the emotions we think they should feel. And it's harmful not only to yourself to take on someone else's emotion, but it's harmful to the community as a whole to have tension and tiptoeing and all of this going on. Like, I don't know what the solution is. I don't. If anybody has any ideas, please leave it in the comment section. Talk to your creators. Do whatever you think can help, because it's a big problem. And we also shouldn't ask for creators to call out other creators, and BJ does this a lot. If something happens to her, she will say, "Where are you at, Queen Bee? Where are you at, nonsense? Why aren't you calling this out for me?" No, you be responsible for yourself. You're a whole ass creator on this platform. You stand up for yourself. Take care of things yourself. You don't need other people to call out what's happening to you. Don't depend on other people to prove your point or to get a point across. Stand on your own. We are all adults. If you're actively participating in the drama, why do you expect a creator who is not involved in your situation to stand up and get mad for you? Don't rely on more confident, confrontational, larger view count creators to back you up and defend you. BJ does this consistently, calling out to other creators to get mad for what's happening to her. That's not others' responsibility to get mad for you. So that we have the right to tell people what they should or shouldn't do, or how they should feel or shouldn't feel, based on our own experiences or emotions. When we care for people, it's hard to watch them do things that we clearly see will likely cause them pain in the future, so we feel strongly about them going back into any situation where they might get hurt. But ultimately, do we have the right to dictate what others do, who others talk to, what they talk about, based on our feelings or experiences? I've heard several creators say that they give people a chance. They don't dislike people just because someone has told them something. They have to have their own experience with them. And I feel like it's the same for any creator relationships. The fallout can be slower for some than others. It's just, I don't think that we can expect people to feel the way we do and react the way we do. We have to separate our feelings from others. In this online world, we're like in such a small, quote, community. We see what everyone does and participates in. We make it our business on here to monitor where people go and who they're talking to. And in our real life, we would never do this to the people we talk to. Outside of our own significant other, we don't feel the need to know who our friends are talking to or fighting with or where they're going. Even if our friends come to tell us about an argument they had with someone else, we listen and give advice. And then sometimes we may never know what the ending is, what they decide to do. We don't have anyone spying on them and reporting back to us about who they went to talk to. We trust their judgment. We don't get angry about decisions they make regarding other people in their lives. For some reason on here, we sometimes feel entitled to dictate friendships. We are offended if someone speaks to someone that we don't like. We see subs go from chat to chat, doing play-by-plays of what other people are doing or saying. And sometimes it's complete lies. I've actually followed some of these subs as they go chat to chat, just watching, and sometimes they absolutely tell complete and utter lies just to cause drama between creators. And some subs go chat to chat defending the creators that they like and unintentionally causing more problems for that creator by trying to go around and defend them. I honestly think that a few creators have subs that create a lot of the drama for them. It's unnecessary things to the creators that they know will upset them, things that are purely insults or jabs at the creator's coverage of something. And they'll bring it to them midstream, knowing that they'll have an immediate emotional response and it will start drama right then and there. And when they're on a live stream, they don't stop to think about the emotion that has hit them. Just whatever comes to mind comes to mouth. And then they're held to that forever. We don't let a lot of people live down the things they say. I know for people that aren't behind the scenes talking to creators or close to any creators, you think that this is an exaggeration, but there are literally subscribers who purposefully get into creators' private messages to plant seeds of distrust and paranoia to pit creators against each other. And they all have their own reasons for doing it. I am not trying to lay blame on any one creator. I want that to be very clear. I am not behind the scenes with these creators. I don't know who talks to who. I don't know if they have a group chat. I don't know if there's talking going on now. I have no clue. And I don't know the answer. All I'm doing is giving my opinion of how I feel in our community right now. And what I feel is tension, tiptoeing. I feel like I have to watch what I say in certain chats. I have to watch my tone in some chats. I feel like I have to watch how long I'm in one certain chat and which chat I go to. And it's so uncomfortable. And I absolutely hate it. And I wish I knew an answer. I wish I was sitting here telling you, hey, here's how we fix this. But I don't know. Because I don't know the ins and outs of what is going on behind the scenes with the creators. And that's where we all feed the energy off of, is what our creators are feeding us. You know, we can come in sometimes to our favorite creators chat, and we can come in there being in a good mood, and they can come in mad and angry and yelling, and our mood changes with them. A lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us that get attached. They can change our entire mood just because they're that way. And I don't know if they realize how much effect they have on subscribers and how much we can actually pick up on. But trust me, we feel it. We see it. We hear it. We can hear it in the tone of voice you use with other creators. Like, it's so noticeable. But I don't know the ins and outs, and I don't know the solutions. So I'm going to switch to something else. Okay. And I know that's going to make people mad, and I'm sorry. I'm not trying to pinpoint anybody or anything. This is simply me talking about how I feel in our community. That's it. I love all of our creators, and I loved being able to go where I wanted, when I wanted, say what I wanted, and be able to laugh and not question somebody's tone, all of that stuff. So anyway, I want to start with a few things I heard in BJ's Sebastian coverage. First, BJ is so disrespectful. She was so angry, so sickened by how people spoke about Seth and Sebastian. But here we are, almost 2 years of BJ going live daily to review Chris and Katie's interviews over and over and over, reviewing Texas Roadhouse videos over and over. You would think by this point she would remember some details about Sebastian's disappearance. I mean, she even entered litigation under his name, and she can't remember the simplest things about his case. Like, BJ is now into this big questioning of whether he made it home from Texas Roadhouse. She's saying there's no actual proof he made it home, so where did he go? She said they talked about Sebastian running like Naruto, so what if Katie dressed up in the black hoodie and black pants and ran like Naruto to take the trash out and imitate Sebastian? Seriously, BJ, Katie and Sebastian are built very differently. Detectives and Seth's PIs determined it was Sebastian. They know he got home because of GPS, dash cam, traffic cam, neighborhood cameras, the quirks and the way Sebastian walked. Like, this was all determined a long time ago. Why now are you suddenly going back to that? I don't know. BJ verifies that things are the truth because Seth said it. This whole case, she and all of her cohorts have stated things that Seth said, if it fits their narrative, is the absolute 100% truth. They don't need anything else but Seth's words. After putting off her Sebastian stream for a month so she can do drama, she finally does a Sebastian stream, and lo and behold, she falls asleep. She does a second Sebastian stream, falls asleep. By the way, did multiple Gypsy Rose streams at night and stayed awake for those. Perfectly fine. She then states that Sebastian was in his room most of the time at Chris and Katie's, and she knows that because that's what Seth said. How did he know what went on in their home to state it so certainly? Kids don't always tell the truth. When they have divorced parents, especially if you have one of them talking down about the other parent, there's not always truthful statements from the children. I, myself, being a child of divorce, played upon the weaknesses of my parents to get the things I wanted and to get the attention I wanted. I knew how to work my parents, especially at the age of 15. Sebastian was very smart. I believe that he also could probably play his parents off of each other. So even if Sebastian told that to Seth, was it the truth? Did Seth ask Chris and Katie about this? Have they said he was mostly in his room? You know, we can't just take one parent and be like, oh, that's the gospel truth. No. Then there's the Texas Roadhouse footage. It's so interesting that BJ deleted, not just privated, a lot of her Sebastian coverage, especially streams with the green hoodie and Texas Roadhouse. Wonder why? And the light videos that she had. This was absolutely after litigation had started, by the way. But no worries, YouTube can get them if needed. Now, the Texas Roadhouse and Green Hoodie videos were the ones filled with the most teardowns of Katie and blatant accusations of what she did to Sebastian. I don't know if anyone remembers, but BJ went over all of these videos, especially Texas Roadhouse, over and over, second by second. And this was all released during the holiday season. It all came out right at Thanksgiving, Sebastian's birthday, Christmas, and it was done purposefully to hurt Chris and Katie even more through the first holiday season without their son, and then throwing out this video that was the last meal she had with her son. And then you have several YouTubers like BJ who rip Katie apart day after day, analyzing her last meal with her son. We do not know what happened to Sebastian. Can you imagine your child going missing, and we'll assume you're innocent because no one has been named a suspect still, and someone releases a video clip of the last meal you sat and ate with your missing child? Because you don't know what you don't know. But imagine watching that thinking, if I had only known that was going to be the last meal I would share with my son, I would have sat beside him, paid more attention to him, talked about his favorite things, told him how much I loved him, recorded his voice, recorded his laugh. So many things that I can imagine you would think while you're watching that video. But you don't know. In that moment, it's just dinner after a long day of shopping, bowling, having fun. And now you're starving, eating another meal, probably exhausted, maybe cranky, and ready to get home and relax. Because you have no idea what the next 24 hours is going to hold. You don't sit there eating with your child thinking this is going to be the last meal that I sit with him and eat. And then you have people taking this 5-minute clip of a meal at the end of a day and ripping Katie to shreds for everything she does. Can you imagine? So think about, then you have thousands of people on public live streams ripping it apart, judging everything you did in those 5 minutes, called out everything that they think make you a bad mom and possibly responsible for your son disappearing. BJ, who complains daily about people judging her parenting, has sat for hours judging Katie's parenting based on this small, short clip at Texas Roadhouse, the few interviews they did, and Seth's word. She can sit and rip Katie apart, everything from how they walked in, how she sat down, how she handed the menu, how they ate, how she spoke to him, how he responded, everything. But if someone comments on her child waking her up in the middle of a live stream, it's absolutely horrible, and we're attacking her kids. I have heard BJ replay Texas Roadhouse over and over, repeat the same complaints, the same accusations, and the same parenting critiques. So, is she attacking Sebastian? Because when we critique her parenting, we're attacking her kids. So, her sitting there critiquing Katie, is she attacking Sebastian? Is that how that works, BJ? I mean, I've heard BJ judge how they walked into the restaurant, who walked in front of the other, how they sat down, how Katie puts the menus down, that the fact that she gets on the phone, how she moves her hands when she's talking to Sebastian, how she puts her napkin in her lap, how she takes pictures, how she ate, how she walked out, how much she ate, what he ate, everything. It's unreal. And BJ is so fixated on Katie. There's a moment when Katie's using her hands to talk, and BJ gets so upset. And every time she watches it, she gets so worked up and says, here it is, here it is. Watch her. Watch her point at him. She's frustrated. She's scolding him. And she calls this an argument over and over. He thinks it's so wrong that whenever there was an interview and they asked Katie if there was any arguments that had happened right before his disappearance, and she says no. And BJ freaks out and says, why didn't she tell them they were arguing at Texas Roadhouse? Why wouldn't she tell them that? That's important. And I don't see an argument. So what if Katie was scolding him? We don't know what happened before Texas Roadhouse. If he did something, she could be correcting him, talking sternly to him. I know BJ doesn't discipline her kids much, so she doesn't understand what it looks like, but she could just be telling him something important. We don't know. And because BJ deleted her Texas Roadhouse streams, she had to go through several other creators who had the same footage, but she had to go through several because she wanted to find one who also focused on the way Katie was moving her hands. Because this was the so-called argument. Same moment whenever, as BJ says, look at him, he's in trouble, you can tell. He's upset, and she's shaking her hands at him. When literally Katie has a roll in her hand, so she points her finger as she's talking because she's holding the roll. And this was the argument. And she knows this because of the way Sebastian was responding also. We don't know Sebastian's normal posture. We don't know how they interacted. We don't know what his normal behavior was. This is a 5-minute clip. We cannot look at that and judge anything about parenting because we don't know a baseline. And then BJ also wants to know why Katie isn't telling us all the details of what happened that night when they got home. Well, Katie doesn't have to tell us any details. She doesn't owe us anything. I'm sure she has told law enforcement details. So then she goes to the interview with Chris and Katie done by Smiley, and Smiley asks about the thump. And Katie responds with what she said to him, and she also said this was normal behavior for him to be up messing around in his room after she told him to go to bed. And then she says, and I don't just go and walk into his room because you don't know what you're going to walk into with a 15-year-old boy. And BJ gets so offended by this. And why does she have to say that? Well, have you listened to some of the things Seth has put out here? I mean, I understand what she's saying, and I agree. I have multiple boys, and it's very normal to hear all kinds of noises coming from their room. And I don't run and check on them when they're teenagers to make sure they're okay every time I hear a bump. So I completely, and I understand the other part of what she said too. So first BJ is saying that the words Katie said to Sebastian were told differently to Nancy Grace. Why would she change the wording? Why doesn't she remember exactly what she said? There's so many inconsistencies with her and Chris. Now, we have BJ here who can't remember things that she said at the beginning of the stream and has changed it by the end of the stream, like the one where she talked to Nick at the beginning of the stream, but then a few hours later in the same stream, she says she hadn't talked to Nick, but thinks she will. So why the inconsistency, BJ? I'm sorry, but I know I wouldn't remember the exact words I said weeks ago to my son. It wasn't like Katie knew that Sebastian would be missing the next morning. It was just another night when Sebastian was supposed to be in bed, but was staying up messing around in his room instead of going straight to bed. It was another night. He yelled at him, stop messing around, get in bed. I would never remember the exact words I used on an exact night. Even if it was a night like that where you wake up and a child is gone, I'm still not going to remember the exact wording of what I said that night before. If this is something he does a lot, then it's frequent that I'm yelling things up, or yelling things to his room saying, stop messing around, go to bed. And it's going to be a little bit different wording every time. It's going to be very difficult to remember the exact wording she used the night before, but it all comes down to meaning the same thing. So I don't find this alarming, and wouldn't find it alarming if roles were switched and Seth was in Katie's place saying that. That is believable to me that she doesn't remember the exact words she used on that exact night and is giving a generalization of what she normally says. Then I hear BJ claim that no one can talk about Sebastian without Chris and Katie trying to stop you, and their little YouTube army will come after you. And then she says, shame on you, Chris and Katie. And then she also said there's larger creators who want to cover Sebastian, but they won't because they're afraid of the mob that will come after them. Yeah, except, BJ, you're wrong about something. The mob is on your side. They are the ones taking people to court over this. That's why people don't want to talk about it, in my opinion. Because they do not want to be in litigation for covering a case and giving their opinion, just like you're doing. But that's not okay for others to do. So in every accusation she makes about Chris and Katie starts with, according to Seth, as if Seth is the end-all, be-all of the truth. His word stands and nothing else matters. BJ reads a comment out of her chat, and it says, the losers always want to come for Seth, the one parent who shows he cares. What happened with Seth's YouTube channel? Wasn't he going to do like weekly streams with Sebastian updates and Sebastian stories and awareness? He monetized that channel, right? So he could do that. Where is he? He's the one that shows how much he cares for his child. I mean, he's the only one showing it. But I sure haven't seen him showing it. I thought that's what his channel was for. She also focuses on the photo that Katie took at Texas Roadhouse and why she didn't give it to LE for missing poster. And why was she so secretive about taking it? And look, I don't know. My teenage boys don't pose for pictures. I have a lot of pictures of them not looking at me because that's the only time I can get a picture. But I have a newsflash for you, BJ. And this, again, tells me how little you actually follow and are interested in true crime. Because what happens is they come in and get their electronics and they download everything from their phone. And they can get most of the deleted items also. So any pictures that she took, they have. And they are the ones that choose the photos for the posters. And they have their own set of metrics for what picture they choose, like what angle they want it at, what facial features they want highlighted. Like, they do that, and they had every picture from her phone. Fact is, we just don't know how Katie and Sebastian interacted daily. We don't know their baseline, how they move, the rules, the structure, anything. It's crazy to me that these people claim to be so passionate about victims and true crime, but yet you cannot understand that we're viewing A 5-minute edited clip of a meal in public. You're also judging people for interviews where these people are forced into the spotlight. They may not, Katie doesn't strike me as the kind that likes to be interviewed or, upfront talking. I would hate to be on camera. Yes, it's my kid and I'm going to go talk, but I'm going to be nervous as crap because I don't enjoy that stuff. And they're not asking to be in the public eye all the time. So you just can't judge from these things. You cannot make accusations based on these limited views we get. You can look at things and say, this looks suspicious. Okay, yeah, this could be, but you don't go into the detailed accusations that they go into and the breakdown of her parenting when you don't know that she's done anything wrong. And, like BJ tells us that we don't know what goes on in her house, so we cannot judge the parenting. She says that over and over again, even though we have a more inside look to her home than she's ever had of Katie and Chris and Sebastian's home. And now she's back on the CPS cases, the 5 CPS cases, as she's repeated over and over that she has had, well, wait, was it 4, 5, 6 cases? The number keeps changing with BJ, so I don't know. And she'll say she's had them because of hate online. I don't believe that. I think it's because of valid claims by law enforcement, viewers, teachers, etc. Yes, some have been initiated because we know that Dark Horse did. But I also think that there are other reasons they are involved that don't relate to YouTube. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. And so we don't know what initiated those visits, if there even were 5 separate cases with Sebastian. It could be from school based on overhearing something, or neighbors who found him hiding under their car. We just don't know. But BJ wants everyone to condemn Chris and Katie because of CPS, yet ignore her CPS cases. So I don't believe they all came from YouTube because BJ has trouble telling the truth in case some of you haven't noticed. Again, falling asleep while covering Sebastian mid-sentence, snoring, clicking all over the screen, people in the back, snapping at her and singing to wake her up. Why are you not adult enough to say, hey, I'm sleepy, I should log off? If you're just sleepy, then you feel it coming on. When you start feeling sleepy, log off. How difficult is it? You are a mother of 5 children. You are almost 40 years old. But you cannot have enough discipline and respect to log off whenever you start falling asleep. I don't get it. And then her chat will defend her and say, it's 2:30 a.m. Of course she's going to fall asleep. She's a busy mom. Seriously. First of all, if you're going to fall asleep at 2:30 in the morning, adjust your schedule. How many months, years have people been saying this? A busy mom. When I hear this, I'm just like, are you kidding me? She has 2 children, one in middle school, one about to be in middle school, who are at school during the day. She has a husband who sleeps all day. She doesn't have a job besides YouTube, and I fully understand people get their income from YouTube. That's their business, okay? But that means during the day, she doesn't have a job to go to. There are people on here who work all day and then come home, do whatever nightly chores they have, cook dinner, and then can come live for a couple of hours at night and cover a case or whatever. There are people that work 2 jobs, people that work 12-hour shifts. I mean, there's just to sit here and say with a straight face that BJ is a busy mom cracks me up. She does not understand what busy is. Until you've had a job outside of the house dealing with the public for not a busy mom, and then come home and take care of your family and your house and the bills, everything else, baseball, all of it. That's a busy mom. And I'm sorry, I've lived that life, so I know it. And I will never, ever say with a straight face that BJ is a busy mom. And then there's the absolute hypocrisy. People should know every detail of my life. It's weird that people act like they know every detail. And then once you know the details, you want to dictate how I should live. Nobody has rights. And this is a quote from BJ, okay? Nobody has rights over another human being. Nobody has the right to invade someone's personal life the way people are invading mine. But she did this to Chris and Katie for over a year. She multiple times showed virtual tours of the inside of their home where they still live. She talked about everything that she assumed happened behind closed doors at that house that she didn't know for fact. She talked about that 5-minute clip and all of the things Katie should have done and what she would have done, and the thump and how she would have reacted and how Katie reacted and how could Katie be on the phone with Chris? I mean, everything. And we don't hear what's going on in Chris and Katie's house. We hear what's happening in BJ's. And again, I'm going to say, it's not like we're trying to listen to her children. We cannot help what our ears hear. I'm sorry. Some of us just have good hearing. And when there's people talking at the same level on something we're listening to, we're going to hear it. And if it's fucked up, we're going to say something about it. I'm sorry. That's being a human. And she would do the same thing. And then we go again with the starting to lie about the sleeping. We want to, first she'll deny it and deny it. I'm not sleeping. Nobody's sleeping, and snapping at her chat and blocking people and angry. And her mods make excuses for her. But then 20 minutes later, she'll finally, okay, you're right. I fell asleep. It's always an excuse. It's always an excuse. Everybody's tired at 2:30 in the morning. Who wouldn't fall asleep? I'm sorry, guys. Why can't you say immediately, the first time it happens, why can you not say, man, I'm tired, guys. I just fell asleep. I'm logging off. We'll finish this tomorrow. Because you go live every day. They know you're going to be there to finish it the next day. Why can't you do that? Everyone knows when you're asleep. You have to listen to all these clips or listen back to yourself and hear it. I would be mortified if I heard myself snoring on a live stream like that. And I don't care what we were talking about. We were talking about how much sun we got that day and I fell asleep. I would be mortified that people heard that. She just does not care. She doesn't. And I heard the most ignorant thing from her the other night because she was boasting about not falling asleep for 2 nights. Mind you, those were the Gypsy Rose nights. But she literally comes on and is just boasting. What do you think, chat? I haven't been falling asleep as much. Haven't I done good? Hey, chat, haven't I done good? Damn, you are almost 40 years old. How embarrassing. You sound like a preteen looking for acceptance from their mom and a pat on the head and a cookie. Yeah, you've done good. You checked off your chore chart. You went to bed. I mean, what are y'all thinking? What are you thinking? How can you sit there and listen to this every night and enable it and lie? Fine, if you want to be there and be with her and whatever, but do you have to lie with her? Because it's ridiculous. It's obvious. And to try to attack people because they state the obvious is unreal. And to give her virtual pats on the head because she stayed awake for 2 nights, what are we doing here, guys? Seriously. And I'm tired of hearing BJ talk about all the things Granny said about Seth were so horrible. BJ said just as much about Chris and Katie. Why do you think Chris was so angry with BJ? He was defending his wife after listening to over a year of her being attacked for everything. And if her concern was just how Granny talked about Seth, why did she join this injunction? Because, she changes the reasoning all the time. First, it's, because she's tormented her for years. And then it's because of how she talked about Sebastian and how she talked about Seth. And it just changes all the time. And just because BJ has hidden all of her original Sebastian coverage doesn't mean it's gone. And she went live every night picking apart every single thing, including Katie's looks, what her mom did. Why didn't she watch Sebastian closer so he didn't get SA'd? Again, weaponizing. She did this wrong. She said this wrong. She laughed at the wrong time. She's not sad enough. She's gained weight. She's trying to look like a young girl with that braid. She chose Chris over Sebastian. She's too strict. She lets Chris abuse Sebastian, etc. BJ has no right to decide if someone's thoughts and opinions on someone are okay or not. And nobody ever tried to claim that Granny is a shrinking violet. Nobody came on here and said Granny is a completely innocent person with no faults. I realize that you, BJ, are jealous of the attention Granny's getting. You always have been. You hear what you want to hear. Most of us know the past and the back and forth and how it started. The whole girl code that wasn't even your situation to be mad over. We know the things that she's done, and so do the new people, because if Angela isn't posting screenshots from 3 years ago, BJ is replaying the Call It As I See It videos for the 1,245th time on her stream to make sure everyone sees it. You missed it because you only hear the things that fit your narrative, but Granny has admitted to fault in things that she has done. I've heard her take accountability when she makes mistakes. I have heard her admit her flaws. I have heard her have self-awareness that BJ is lacking. I have heard Granny things and then immediately say, I know I'm bad at this. I'm working on it. Have you ever heard BJ say that or actually do it? BJ even tries to take accountability. She will say, I shouldn't have done it, but I did it because so-and-so did this. BJ doesn't understand. Actions stand alone. She can't always blame someone else for what she does because we can't control other people's actions, but we control our own. So this whole accountability while putting someone else at blame for how you acted is not accountability. Understand her part of the injunction, and she needs to stay out of the defendant's side. And I've talked about this before too. BJ sees a divide happening, and she has to attempt to plow seeds of discourse in it. Barbecue has come into her streams multiple times before, and I don't know why, but now that she feels a little crack in communication, she wants to feed off of it, but she doesn't even comprehend what the brief was, what it meant, what the issue was. And so she tries to speak on it like she knows what she's talking about. And she is constantly throwing in rhetoric to cause problems between Queen and Granny. She is good at one thing, finding cracks in friendly relationships and pushing the crowbar in there and cracking and pushing to separate. She knows the weak spots and she knows what people are protective of, and she takes full advantage whenever she sees it. I mean, BJ would literally piss herself in excitement if Queen Bee started going at Granny. It would be the highlight of her YouTube career. I mean, she lives for that. We all have heard the numerous times that she has tried to cause that divide. There is nothing more in this world that she wants than for them to fight and for Queen to go at Granny. She's trying, and she knows who reviews her streams and is going to hear what she says, and she tries really hard to push buttons to get things started. While I'm on this topic, and I'm not going to go into this too much because I don't want to contribute to any further issues, we all support and like different creators for different reasons, and they are all different. That's part of why I enjoy the unity of the creators. Even if they all play the same clip, you get a different viewpoint from each. I love hearing how others see things, and it hurts my heart to see fallouts happen because of miscommunication or misunderstandings. I know a lot of subs have enjoyed the unity of the creators and the fun moments and feeling comfortable wherever we want. We get hypervigilant and sensitive, and we misinterpret comments. We switch to defensive mode when we see a single negative comment, and it could just be a comment from someone who's never liked the same creator we did, and we've known it all along, but they say one thing in just the right way, and we see it and we jump into attack mode. So we reply with a smart-ass comment, even if they weren't talking to us. We feel the need to defend our creator wherever we go. And this can be a problem in chats. One person can say something negative about a creator that they've just never liked, and the supporters of that creator will react, of course, and go back at the person in chat. Then someone else in chat sees the response, and they then retort, and then another chatter sees it, and it starts a whole issue in chat. And then once it's an issue in chat, the creator sees it and speaks on it, and then it becomes all on the creator, and they don't even know the full context of how it started or who said what. They could take it the wrong way and address it completely from the wrong viewpoint because they don't truly know what was said. And before you know it, a full argument has started between creators from a single opinion in chat that struck a chord with someone, and they argued back. And once it started, it's hard to track it back to where it even came from. Again, we're all very protective of our favorite creators, especially if we've been around for years. We need to try to remember when we're in chat and we see someone say something not so nice about the creator we love, remember that they have a creator they protect too, and they are likely just defensive and not repeating something they heard. I think tensions are so high that we take offense to even the slightest insults to our favorite creators. We could all stand down a little and remember we don't have to react to every negative comment we see. Unless it's someone telling a blatant lie that is harmful, we can let some things go without responding. That's if we want to contribute to a less tense environment. And remember that there are the subs who come on trying to cause fighting. If you see a chatter that you don't recognize and they're coming in and purposely saying untrue things to cause two creators to fight, don't feed into it. We don't need to even address them. We don't need to add to it. Just, I think it's a time when we all kind of have to step back and think about what we want to feed in this community, what we want to breathe into this community, because we can keep feeding negativity, but we're going to keep getting that negativity back. If you enjoy the unity of creators and the fun streams where you don't feel like you have to tiptoe around and can go anywhere you want and be comfortable, then don't feed the discourse. I don't know why people want to force this, but they do. I guess some people find it entertaining. Now, I'm addressing this because I have an opinion on it. Barbecue. I have my own opinion on Barbecue Lady, and I am going to try not to be too biased, but I feel pretty strongly about her. I'm always open to hear others' experience and opinions on things, and I have definitely thought about what I've been told. There have been people that came into my comments that are from TikTok that I didn't even realize were from TikTok, and people that I adore and that I see in chats and talk to, and I respect their opinions and input. I really do. So what the things that I am saying are what my opinions and my viewpoints have been based on the interactions I've seen with Barbecue Lady. Most of us here on YouTube only know Barbecue Lady from the little bit we've seen, which is she appeared at Queen Bee and told us she'd received the C&D and she had a GoFundMe, and we were all asking why she had the GoFundMe. Was she getting into a lawsuit? Did she have an attorney? And she was very sketchy about answering, and she wouldn't give a direct answer. And a lot of us got a really bad feeling from that point on because we couldn't get a straight answer from her. We weren't familiar with her. Now, I didn't know that she had done some call-ins with Jay before that. I didn't know anything about that. My first impression of her was in Queen Bee's chat when she came over there advertising her GoFundMe. The only things a lot of us have seen since then are the messages between her and Tony, the recordings of her and Tony, and her coming on panel and being pretty abrasive, over speaking others, yelling at the viewers in the chat, being disrespectful to Granny, who is our co-defendant, and her subs. A lot of the times, if we aren't on TikTok, we don't see the good side of TikTok. We see people come here fighting and the rude side. We have seen a lot of people come from TikTok that are already in fights, and it's hard for us to judge. Just the same as I'm sure when people from TikTok come here, it's a learning curve to know who likes who and who's fighting with who, and everything seems strange and it's a different world. I mean, it's really different between the two platforms. And I think that, all of this legal stuff has done so much to this community. It has ripped people apart. It has caused so much unnecessary stress to people who were just on here expressing their opinions. And look at where we are. And we're even in such a different place now than we were even 4 months ago. I mean, today, we can't even do a fundraiser for a creator without offending people and starting arguments and uncomfortable chats. People are afraid to be nice to certain people because it will offend someone else that we like. We're afraid to outwardly show support to people because of who it might upset. Everything seems to be about comparison and competition. Sometimes it's just about helping in the moment without planning ahead and checking with everyone for hurt feelings and not helping someone because you didn't help another. We are a community, or I guess several communities, however you want to look at it, and we deal with things as they come along. And we don't always handle things correctly. And we do act in the moment. I think we're a lot of emotional people, and there's a lot of strong personalities in our creators. And they all have their own positive attributes, and they all have their flaws, as do we all. And we, as a community, find these creators, these 4 creators, their positive attributes are what we enjoy and what we come to and what we, someone in my comment said to me, my time is valuable. So if I come here and give you my time, that means something, and that should mean something to the creator. It's easy for creators to look at a chat of 1,000 people and still somehow see the one negative comment about themselves and look past the 954 positive comments. And when I see them doing it, I just want to shake them and yell, no, look at all the support you have. Yes, there's one asshole in here saying something stupid, but look at all these people that support you. Don't feed that negativity, and us in the chat need to not feed it either. Block people, ignore comments. Like I said, if it's not a blatant lie, we don't have to argue about every little thing that we disagree with, especially in the chat, because like I said, that creates this big argument in the chat, and a creator can be talking about a completely different subject. They look at their chat and it's chaos, and they're like, what is happening? So then they try to jump into the middle of something to settle it and end up saying something and it causing a fallout. Like it can really turn into something huge. So I just want our community back where we're comfortable. I think we're just kind of at a point where I think tensions are high. I think there's a lot of things feeding into it. We do have creators that are on here as their main source of income. Sometimes we need to step back and remember that we're all human at the end of the day. We all have emotions and reactions, and the best thing that we can do is communicate. And sometimes it's hard to communicate through comment sections. Tones are taken wrong. Things are taken the wrong way. Creators can look down in the chat and pull a comment and read it the wrong way. Happens all the time. It's so easy to mistake the emotion behind words. And sometimes we just need to ignore and move on. But I really want to emphasize that we need to continue to support Granny and Barbecue Lady in this litigation and whatever follows it. BJ was saying again recently on a live stream, what has Granny been through since this injunction? I keep getting told that I'm so horrible for signing this injunction, but who's the one who's been punished for a year? What's Granny had done to her? How much money has she actually spent? Has she had CPS at her house? Has she had cops at her house? Has she had all this? Are her kids traumatized? And BJ honestly doesn't get it. I do not think she has empathy. I do not think she has the ability to put herself in someone else's shoes and think about how things affect them. And you cannot blame Granny nor the RICO for CPS or for law enforcement or any of that. You can't do that. So, again, I don't know what she's trying to accomplish by connecting everything to this RICO, because it's not doing anything for her. It's not going to do her any good. Granny isn't coordinating anything to be done to BJ because of the RICO. What is between her and BJ will be handled in the courtroom. So we all just have to remember that they have their own stressors in life, some of them more than other. Queen went through 2 years of constant stress with Betty. Granny's going through it now with 10 plaintiffs in one state and one in another state, plus your life and bills and kids, and it's a lot. And people feel guilty for drawing from their community. I do not for a second think neither Queen or Granny felt comfortable asking for help. I don't think they would ever want to be in that situation where they need help to defend themselves. But you don't have a choice whenever you're thrust into something unexpectedly because you didn't do anything wrong other than speak your opinions. So I don't think either of them enjoy having to ask for that. And that itself is stressful, to do something that you're not comfortable doing, during the holidays and during times when the economy is rough, and they know that. But at the same time, they need to fight this. So remember that too, that they're under that extra stress of dealing with that on top of everything. And maybe cut them all a little bit of slack every now and then. Don't judge so harshly. Don't take things so personally. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know. Oh, and BJ, quit lying to your subs. Yes, YouTube takes 45% of ad revenue, and the creator gets 55%. But super chats and memberships, the creator keeps 70% of that, and YouTube gets 30. So quit telling your viewers that they take half of everything. They don't. God, I do not understand. She is so money hungry, and where does the money go? I mean, she's constantly getting money from mods behind the scenes. She makes quite a bit on YouTube. We know this. Craig has money. I mean, where does the money go? They don't have that many bills. I'll never understand it, and it's never enough for her. Never. Oh, that is why I believe that she is never going to understand how serious this litigation is until it touches her money, because that is the only thing I have seen her have an emotional reaction over, is when something affects her money. And that's the only time that she's going to fully understand how serious this litigation is. And I can't wait for it personally. I'm sorry, but I can't. I have seen her be the most horrific person on here for a while. It's bad. It's been bad. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to wrap this up here. I've said a whole lot of stuff. And again, I apologize if I upset anyone. I'm not putting blame on any one person. I'm not trying to upset anyone. This is all just my opinions and my views on what's going on. And please, my comment section is open. I'm open to hear your view of things, your opinions, your suggestions, anything. If you feel the same way, or if you think I'm totally wrong, tell me about it. I'm open to hearing anything. I would love to figure out what can fix the tension, what can make things feel as carefree and unified as we were, say, 4 months ago. Because I miss that. It truly felt like a kind of family where we could do and say, go anything, and there wasn't this tension all the time. But I don't know. Enough about that. I think there's a lot of stress a lot of people are under, and we don't know what anybody's going through at home. We just all have to keep that in mind. I needed to get it off my chest because I've been feeling it, and it's weighing on me, and it's affected my YouTube experience so much that I probably watch other things outside of the community more than in the community now because it's just gotten so bad. But I appreciate all the support I get, all of the positive comments, and y'all really help me. You do. You don't realize how much some of your comments mean to me. And I'm sure you'll be hearing from me again soon. Thanks, guys.